The title of our sermon today is Life is God's Most Precious Gift. Now, what we call life, or my life, our life, is something that belongs to God. God owns us 100%. God projected himself in a substantial form in me in order to see a reflection of an aspect of himself in me. Same, all of us. That's what life is. A projection of God to a substantial form, that God may see himself in each one of us. A human being has priceless value. You know, God is invisible and God is infinite. It's hard to describe God, you know. And so those of us who attempt to describe God, we try to describe God in terms of what God is not. So it's hard to say what God is. So instead, we describe God as what God is not. God is not finite. You see what I mean? When I said God is infinite, that means God is not finite. Then what is God? God is endless. What is endless? Endless is endless. God has no beginning, God has no end. So we are describing God with what God is not. It's the expression of that infinite God in a particular way. Each one of us, we are an aspect of that infinite God. Something special in that infinite God, special aspect of himself in each one of us. That's why a human being has priceless value. In divine principle, we say that human beings have three kinds of value: divine value, unique value, and cosmic value. Priceless. Every human being, I tell you. However, in this fallen world that we are living, life is cheap. That is because we think that a person's life or a person's value is determined by wealth, by status, the kind of position we occupy, by how educated we are, by how beautiful or handsome we are. We use all kinds of external criteria to judge the value of a person, not knowing that God, the Creator, endows every person with the absolute value of his love. That is why in Christianity and also in the divine principle, we are taught that God created us as his beloved children. Human beings are infinitely precious. Even our father's teaching, it says that we are even equal to God. And sometimes when people hear something like this, they wonder, this person is blaspheming God. How can you say that human beings are equal to God? But when you think in terms of the motive of God's creation, in terms of the love of God, you ask the question, if God is a God of love, how can God be a God of love if God does not have an object of love? That's the point. So that's why every single person has the value of the whole world. Every single person is unique, irreplaceable, individual. No two human beings are the same. Mark it. Even identical twins are not the same in every detail. They may look facially alike, but that's just where all the alikeness ends. Each one of them have their fingerprints different. Isn't that so?
Yes.
Identical twins. That's why no two individuals are the same. No two individuals can be repeated now and forever in human history. 1 billion years ago, one person was created. In 1 billion years to come, there is not going to be a repetition of exactly replica of that person. Every single person among the billions of people that come into this world, they are different. Can you imagine? When you then think about it, you can appreciate the infiniteness of God. So therefore, we can understand that the love of God, the family, the nation, and all creation embrace us as individuals. We are created to live in the warm embrace of God, in our families, in our communities, and in our nation. Why? It is because God needs each one of us. Our families need each one of us, right? Why are we needed? Because we are object of love, of the love of God. If a mother loses a child, how the mother cries? The mother will cry endlessly for losing a child. And you see this mother crying, you also cannot help but cry. Why? Because the death of an individual, if one person dies, it is a loss to God. The potential of that person to perfect the love of God is lost. That's why it is painful. That is why God puts in the 6th commandment, thou shalt not do what? Kill. That's why killing is a big sin. An essential part of the sin of murder is committing suicide. We can speak about the sin of murder in 2 categories: killing somebody else and killing myself. Our focus today, in our discussion, in our sermon today, is on the second part, the killing of myself. The killing of other people is a different topic, it's a different subject, which we can have emphasized some other time. But the recent trends in our country today, in Nigeria, has stimulated the need for us to begin to think whether we understand or we are misunderstanding something about ourselves that is generating high rate of suicide in our country today. News coming out, especially among young people, many young people are dying, taking their own lives. We have been speaking on another occasion about young people who are involved in violent crimes. Those violent crimes involves killing other people, accost people on the way, kill them, take their property, take their money or whatever. Now, young people are also involved in kidnapping people on the road, or even they go to people's homes and kidnap them and demand for ransom. And if ransom doesn't come quickly, the people are killed. Young people are involved in this. But going beyond that, now, killing of one's self, suicide, is beginning to be rampant in our country, becoming a serious problem. According to World Health Organization study on suicide, Nigeria is ranking 10th position, the highest rate of suicide in Africa. Nigeria is also ranking 67th position, the highest rate of suicide in the world. That's almost our ranking in the scale of football. We used to rank very low, the rate of suicide in the world. We used to be behind. We used to rank very high in the rate of happiness. Some organization did a study some years ago to determine which countries are the happiest people. And Nigerians used to rank high as a place where people are happiest. But now we are ranking low, and suicide rate has increased. If you look closely at that United Nations report, we find out that countries with the highest rate of suicide in this 2019 report are countries of the Eastern Europe. Eastern European countries are ranking very high. They are the highest, the rate of suicide. So if that report was published in 2019, it means that the study must have been done 2 years ago, 2017, 2018, maybe. That's when the study was done. Because before something gets published, it takes about 2 years. So maybe that study was done in 2017. That's when the survey was carried out for it to get published in 2019. Countries of Eastern Europe rank highest. Then the developed countries follow. That's developed countries of Western Europe, countries like South Korea, Japan. By the way, on world level, South Korea ranking 10th position, Japan 11th. Yeah, the South Korean have beat Japan at the rate of suicide. And other developed countries rank high, rate of suicide. It's a worldwide phenomenon. Then after those developed countries, you have the developing countries, such as our home countries, African countries, are coming up the scale. So you try to analyze, you try to understand why that type of distribution. Two categories of factors are usually identified with high rate of suicide in a place. The first category of factors is mental health issues. Somebody who decides to commit suicide, it means that the person is suffering some kind of depression, right? Yes. Depression or confusion or whatever. Something is not right with the person mentally. Cause many people to commit suicide. And this is the case in many Western countries. A lot of people having psychological disorder, and they end up deciding that they want to take their lives. Some of the suicide cases come from medical conditions. Somebody is sick, having a terminal disease, and doesn't see any need to continue living. They ask the doctor to, do something for him to die quickly and go. So in fact, in advanced countries, a high percentage of people who commit suicide did so through such a medically induced suicide with the help of a doctor, of medical practitioners. They died. So that's one category, people with mental health issues. The other category of issues are cultural factors. In a place like Japan, it's part of the culture for someone, if the person feels that his honor has been lost, he does not find any need to continue to live. He can take his life. If you lost your honor is very important for them, more important than their life. So if they have lost their honor, there's no need to live. They take their lives. That's a cultural factor, especially those Oriental countries have this kind of situation. Whether the first set of factors, medical issues or mental health issues or cultural issues, the bottom line of it all is that people who enter into this kind of situation where they take suicide as an option have lost their relationship with God. That's the main point. If you have lost relationship with God, then you become hopeless. It's very, very easy for you to become what? Hopeless. Hopelessness. In places where people are lonely, loneliness is a source of depression. When you are lonely, no one to confide in, no one to support you emotionally and psychologically, spiritually. You cannot trust anybody. You are in the middle of the crowd, but you are lonely. Has anybody felt like that before? Only Stephen. Yeah. It's easy to be in the middle of a big crowd. In this Abuja, how many people are living in Abuja? At least 4 million people, right? And yet, many people in Abuja are lonely, even though there are 4 million people living in Abuja. So because people are lonely, because people are depressed, the people are hopeless, then they get involved in dangerous lifestyles, such as alcoholism, drugs, to be able to fill in a void that is inside. There is a spiritual void, a spiritual vacuum. When you are not feeling love, each one of us, we are supposed to be composed of love. Are you with me? Yes. Love is an essential part of our being. The core of our being, our heart, is supposed to be enriched and nourished by the love of God. And that love of God will, as I said, God is invisible, right? Yes. It can be the love of our parents, love of our spouses, love of our brothers and sisters, love of the neighbors around us, love of people around us, and the love of God. Are you with me? Our being, we are open to that love and we can receive that love. If for some reason we are closed and so we are not receiving that love, then we start to feel lonely. But then, and we are feeling lonely, inside of ourselves there is a vacuum. There is void. And nature doesn't allow vacuums, right?
No.
The vacuum must be filled. So you look for something. You look for drug to take. You go to beer parlor to go and drink alcohol. You follow people and you go and do immoral things. You're trying to fill up a void inside. That's why some men go to look for prostitutes. Are you with me?
Yeah.
All these things are self-destructive activities. Activities that lead to self-destruction. When you are smoking, for example, is that not self-destruction? Is it not self-destruction? Is it not written on the packet of the cigarette? Despite the warning, people still smoking and contracting smoke-related diseases, and certainly they die. Still, cigarette-making companies are making billions and billions of money from people who kill themselves by smoking. Drugs destroy people's lives. People who are on drugs, not only their own personal life is destroyed, their family life, frustration of everybody who is related to them, and yet they have to spend millions. They have to spend a lot of money to sustain a lifestyle like that. They steal, people who are on drugs, right?
Yes.
They steal, they kill, they lie, they do all kinds of things to get money when they are craving for that drug, right?
Yeah.
In order to find money, whatever they see, whatever they have, they will sell it. If they lay hand on anything, they will sell that thing to get money, to go and buy a drug to take. You know, these are forms of suicide, self-destructive behaviors. There are some people, they get into some illicit love relationships, false love relationships. Along the way, they get disappointed and they are broken-hearted. What happened? They kill themselves. Many cases of students in the universities who committed suicide are for such reasons. Did you hear about things like that?
Yes.
A young man saw his girlfriend with another man, and he took a knife and stabbed the other man. The man didn't die. He stabbed the girlfriend. The girlfriend died, and he stabbed himself, and he died. Things like this are happening. Do I need to say something like this in our community? I need to say it?
Yes.
Well, you know, the Spirit of God told me that I should speak about this kind of topic today in our community, so that members of our community will not be vulnerable to this kind of destructive tendency that is sweeping across the country right now. It's important for us to bear this in mind. See, high rate of suicide is a huge problem, and it's a problem of the spirit. It's an influence. It's a spiritual influence. So that's why I said loneliness and depression is something that we have to watch. Because when we find ourselves in such circumstances and situations, we are open to a lot of evil spiritual influence. Many of the suicide that take place occur by influence from the spiritual world. Evil spirits can influence us into suicide tendencies. If you come from a family or from a background where someone has committed suicide in the past, you need to be careful. You really need to be careful. Because you will find yourself at some point, sometime, when you are going through crisis in your life. And there is no guarantee that anybody will not go through crisis in his or her life. Is there? You know, crises come and crises go in our lives. Crisis is a normal process of development. The important thing is that you are able to overcome such a crisis. You stand firm, you grow, you digest the crisis, and then you ascend it. You go to a different level. When you reach a different level, another kind of crisis will come. You will scale over it until you reach the point of perfection. Are you? Yeah. I think everybody here went in the primary school, secondary school. We have done high jump, right?
Yes.
We did some high jump in the school.
Yes.
So when we line up to do high jump, they first of all put the pole at the lowest point. Everybody jump. Everybody jump. Then next time they will increase when everybody finish jumping the lowest one, they will increase it. And then we will see who will jump to the highest. They cannot say that, oh, all of you know how to jump, without you really actually doing the jump. You have to do the jump. And we see who jumps the highest. The goal of each one of us is to jump to the highest and reach perfection. To reach there, you have to overcome obstacles. You have to overcome challenges in life. Everything will be smooth and easy. No. You make your effort, you digest it, you overcome it, and you go to the next level. I can read for you through Father's speech, where Father advises us about how we should live our lives here on earth, thinking about the spiritual world, considering the spiritual world. Father says that many people on earth think that there are only two different places, heaven and hell. But in reality, there are many different levels, from very evil places to very good places. Heaven is a place of comfort, but life in any of the levels below heaven is difficult and uncomfortable because the people fight each other continually, everyone insisting on their own opinion. Each region is filled with people who are of the same type. So after a while, living there becomes tedious. For example, people who on earth were accustomed to stealing things dwell in a region of the spirit world where people are always suspicious, thinking that everyone around them is looking to steal from them. Their lives are forever filled with distrust and anxiety. Likewise, people who on earth were accustomed to fighting live in a region where fighting goes on continually. So imagine yourself living in the spiritual world in a place where people are always fighting and people are always fighting you. That is hell, isn't it? Yeah. If you descend further into lower regions, you come to regions of hell that are suffocating, dark, and scary. They smell horribly, worse than the smell of rotten meat or fish. Deformed figures appear in front of you, biting each other, yelling at each other with hate-filled voices. There is a region filled with burning holes, and in each one a wrathful person is held fast. The worst regions are reserved for those who were sexually corrupt or who committed suicide. They seem to be filled with snakes. But on close examination, each snake is an ugly, deformed human being slithering about. People living on the earth do not realize how frightening the regions of hell really are. They would not be able to stand it even for a minute. But it's important to understand that there is a reality like this. It's important to understand that how people come, in the first place, how do people come to the point where they should decide that they wanted to end their lives? It's a serious question. It's a serious problem. And further, he continued to say that today, many people commit suicide. Do you think that the despair that drives people to commit suicide can be compared to God's despair? Now, that's another way of looking at it. Inclined to call attention to the very essence of our lives, which is love. That's really the very essence of our lives. The love and the value that we are supposed to attain based on our accomplishment of the ideal of love. When that is missing, what is the meaning? That's why people come to the point where they decide to commit suicide. So he says, do you think the despair that drives people to commit suicide can be compared to God's despair at the moment Adam and Eve fell? No one but God is truly entitled to use the word suffering. We may experience tragedies in our lives, yet as time passes, the pain and grief will ease. However, God is a spiritual being. He has no concept of time. During 1,000 years or even 10,000 years, the pain of the human fall has never left God's mind and heart. Nevertheless, God could not simply cast off his suffering out of his heart. More than omniscient and omnipotent, God is absolute in love. That's why we said, basically, when we come to the point where we want to end our lives, the main point is because we don't have a relationship with who? God. With God. We don't love God. we don't know. We don't know what we are doing, the kind of pain it causes in the heart of God. So even we ourselves, when we hear somebody has committed suicide or somebody has been killed, how painful that should be to us. Our true father gave a testimony, and he said it was a time when he was studying in Japan, and there was news around the neighborhood where he was living that a 17-year-old boy committed suicide and left a note that he committed suicide because he could not find the purpose of life. And the father cried. When he heard that news, he cried for 3 days without eating. His heart was so touched. The simple reason of somebody couldn't find the purpose of his life. And this person is a child of God. So if we cannot be moved by the point that people who commit suicide go to the worst place in hell, then if we have a relationship with God, absolutely, that should move us. That should make us not to contemplate anything like that. Have you been in a situation in your own life whereby you have such a difficult issue to deal with, and you felt that you just wanted to kill yourself? Never. Very good. Some people do, and some people actually do it. If you come to that point where even such an idea cross your mind, if such an idea even cross your mind a little bit, kill it. Do what? Kill such idea. What am I doing? What am I thinking? God forbid. Cancel it. Kill it. Cancel it. Those of you who go on the internet or you use computer, right? And when you want to do something in computer, a dialog box will open up. It will give you two options. One option is okay. The other option is cancel. So if such an idea comes to your head, what should you choose?
Cancel.
You click cancel. Quick, click cancel. Don't even allow such an idea to germinate. Because if you have any give and take with such an idea, then evil spirit will come. Evil spirit, there are many evil spirits in the spiritual world. Are you with me?
Yes.
And they're hanging around. Evil spirits that have committed suicide, many of them are hanging around. They didn't ascend into the spiritual world. Are you with me?
Yes.
They are hanging around.
Yes.
And once that kind of idea spark up, then they come to you. Oh, yes, do it. You can use sniper, yes. You can use sniper. You can use this. You can do this. They will give you inspiration idea how to do it quickly. Do like this so that people will know, and so that nobody will stop you. So don't allow such idea to germinate in you. You, as I said, you are facing issues, you are facing challenges. Endure. Human beings are endowed with ability to do what?
Endure.
To endure and to persevere. Perseverance is part of God's given qualities and characteristics. And those who persevere to the end are regarded as victors. Sons and daughters of God. Victorious sons and daughters of God. So to be able to overcome such tendencies, we must follow 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning to begin the day. If you go about doing daily activities without the word of God, you are just facing all the hardships and challenges of life by yourself with your own energy and with your own strength, and it may not be enough. Are you with me?
Yeah.
You need something more. You need something extra. You need the Spirit of God. That's why you need to do hundoke. You need to study the word of God every day. Take a portion of your life. It's your responsibility. Find the word of God. Take the word of God and study it and make it part of your own every day. That will support you. You will have what you need, the weapon, the material that you need to overcome your daily challenges. Then when you are overcoming your daily challenges, no such spirit or influence for you to go and do crazy things like committing suicide will come to you, because it's crazy. Self-destruction. Not only that, God-centered love with others, not self-centered love. The person who killed himself because his girlfriend went out with another person. Did he love that lady with God-centered love?
No.
He didn't love with God-centered love. And you know what? How you know that your love for somebody is God-centered or self-centered is if you feeling intense jealousy when you see this person even conversing with another person, maybe they didn't even do anything. You see somebody with your friend or somebody you love or somebody is just conversing with another person and you feeling intense jealousy. Then you know that my love for this person in the first place was never pure. Are you with me? Yes. My love for this person was impure. You can score yourself. That's how you score yourself. That's how you know who you are. You saw the person talking, even in the church. Even if it's not even if it's not a sexual or amorous kind of even if it's just somebody that you are working with, then all of a sudden you see the other person is communicating and conversing with you, then you begin to feel jealousy. Why is he talking to that person? Why not come talk to me? Then your love for that person was never pure. You don't have your heart was not pure. Jealousy. That jealousy comes out of impurity of heart. That's how you know. You can evaluate it. Nobody need to criticize you. Nobody need to tell you you are like this or you are like that. The chances that somebody tell you are like this, like that, you won't like it. You won't even accept it. It's better for you to criticize yourself. And God has given you signals of how you can judge yourself and criticize yourself. And if an intense jealousy just comes out of your heart, you're like, here am I. So you can use that to evaluate yourself and judge yourself. And put yourself right. Community life centering on true love. We recite every day in the morning our family pledge, so? Yes. And we say our community life, we should be what? Centering on true love. If I'm feeling depressed, if I'm having a problem, there must be somebody within my community that I can share my problem with. Are you with me? Yeah. So the reason people are feeling lonely and their loneliness leading to depression, and from depression they find all kinds of solutions how to get out of it. The end of it is to commit suicide because they don't have somebody they feel confident that they can talk to. They can share their problems with. So, these days, this modern era, one booming businesses, especially in advanced country, is psychology clinics. Now, what do they do there? The simple thing, what the psychologist is doing is to do what? To listen. The psychologist is paid to do what? Listen. To listen. That's all. You go there and they charge you a huge amount of money you pay, and then you sit down, and then you talk. And he does what? Listen. He listens until you talk and talk and talk and talk, and all your problems you will talk. And as you are talking, he's taking notes, and he will tell you he will give you questions and things that you work on when you go, and you come and tell him more, and he listens. That talking and listening is what your parents should have done for you. If you are a wife, it's what your husband should have done for you. If you are a husband, it's what your wife should have done for you. If you are a father, it's what a mentor or pastor or anybody within the community that you trust should have done for you. Nobody is doing this for anybody. And we are all well up within ourselves problems. Many times we think that to love people or to do something for people is to give them money. We think that it's only money. Money is the solution to all our problems. Even we ourselves are saying we say the same things, right? Yes. We hear. We say that our problem is only money. Give us money and all our problems are solved. Is that true? No. If it is true, those countries, South Korea, Japan, will not have a high rate of suicide than Barbados, Guyana, in the Caribbean. Even Afghanistan has the lowest suicide rate. Afghanistan. Poorest nation. The poorest countries ravaged by war has the lowest suicide rate. If it is correct. America, France, Switzerland has the highest. Sweden has the highest standard of living in the world. Very high. At the same time, they have high suicide rates. Community life centering on true love. So we have to live that type of community life, develop that kind of community life in our family, in our community. We have to present ourselves as trustworthy persons for somebody to come and share something with us. Are you with me?
Yes.
Everybody's with me?
Yes.
Yeah. This is very important. So, if somebody comes share his problem with me, or his difficulty with me, what do I do with that thing that the person shared with me? You see, the good thing with the professional psychologist is that the professional psychologist will not go about telling everybody in the world that, oh, this girl came and told me that she had such and she was raped or by her father or her uncle forced her to sleep to have sex with. The professional psychologist will not go about broadcasting it like that because he is regulated by professional ethic. Are you with me? Yeah. So you won't do that. Now the danger in somebody coming to share with me is that after sharing with me, I go about telling everybody, do you know that the other person, this person, told me that her uncle or her father had sex with her, that's why she's having problem. You understand? Now, as a pastor, the pastor cannot do that. Are you with me? Yeah. A pastor is trained professionally. Professional ethic of a pastor is that he cannot disclose what somebody shared with him, his or her situation. Are you with me? Yes. A pastor will not do that. If a pastor does that, that pastor has violated the rules, the professional ethic of the pastor. But didn't we say the other day, when we were speaking here from here, we said that all of us are now become priests. We are all now, we are living in the era of the priesthood of the believers. Didn't we say that last time?
Yes.
Did we say that or we did not?
We did.
Oh, we speak here and everybody forgets what we speak? Huh?
We said it.
We said it, right? If we are all priests and pastors, then we are priests and pastors to one another. Are you with me?
Yes.
Then you must cultivate this important principle that somebody come and share with you something about maybe you are the spiritual father or you are the spiritual mother of somebody, or you are just a person who grew up in the church with another sister or with another brother, and this person see you as a confidant. As a what?
Confident.
As a what?
Confident.
You see the word confident. Somebody that you are confident in. This person see you as a confidant, and this person come to you and share something to relieve his or her without going to the professional psychologist to pay money. Are you with me? Yes. You stand in a position to help and support this person. You are expected to pray with this person and offer this person's situation to God. Then the person share with you. Then you go about spreading the whole place. Everybody knows about it. Then will the person be able to share share his feelings next time?
No.
Or other people hear about it, will they be able to be free to share their feelings?
No.
Then it affects the whole community. The whole community, we are not building confidence with each other. Are you with me?
Yes.
I'm trying to get to the point why suicide rate in the nation is increasing and what we must do to forestall such a thing within our own community, and we can have the confidence to be able to go out there and teach other people about these things. Are you with me? Yeah. Shall we do our best to make sure that we are getting it right within our own community?
Yes.
Let us pray to God to help us and give us the grace to accomplish it. Adieu.